All right, so the next question we have is from Yasmin, and she wants to know if there are research options available on campus.
Great, Yasmin. That's a really good question. Every one of the Wagner faculty is not just a teacher like you would maybe be used to in high school. Every one of them also has an active research program going on at the college in all of the different programs. So depending on what your major is or what your interest is, you would be able to join a research lab. Now, I happen to be able to say that Andras and Max are both working with me in my research lab, so I may throw it to them in a minute and let them talk to you about what they're doing. But I want to point out that part of our Wagner plan for the practical liberal arts is the senior learning community. And the senior learning community is major specific. And most of the students in science will do a research project either on campus with a faculty member, or a lot of them apply for research experience for undergraduates at the large research intensive universities. And they spend a summer there doing that. So there's a lot of opportunity on campus to get involved in research projects, and there's a lot of opportunities off campus to get involved in research projects, utilizing what's available in the greater New York City area. And if you're interested in research, faculty are so excited to work with students early on. I can tell you Max started with me in his first semester. He came to Wagner as being interested in science and going on to be a scientist in research. And so he's started very, very early. And that is really, we push students to do that. And that's one of the benefits of a Wagner education, is that our focus is on undergraduates and undergraduate education. We don't spend a ton of time with doctoral students and lots of master's students and postdoctoral fellows, where it all kind of trickles down and the undergraduates have to wait to get into the labs until they have more experience. That's not what we do. We want you to come in right away. All of our labs are almost completely staffed by undergraduates, with the exception of a few microbiology master's students who help us a lot along the way. Before we end with me, I'd like to jump to Max and then Andras, and just 2 sentences about what you're working on, guys. Max, we'll start with you.
Hi. So last semester, which was my first semester at Wagner, I just started shadowing a little bit in the labs to really see what was going on. And then this semester, I really went out more on my own, where with Dr. Corbo, where we were taking zebrafish and infecting them with bacterial Listeria monocytogenes to see the effects upon the central nervous system of the zebrafish, essentially.
Thanks, Max. Andras, how about you? What are you working on?
I actually started working on, by the way, hey guys, I started working on my sophomore year. So it's been a year. We basically take the brain out of the zebrafishes and we split them. And then we make like a media for them to keep them alive. And then we basically examine them using a scanning electric microscope after them being out of the skull, of the fish's skull, on the media, like differently, 40, 24, 48, 70 to 96 hours. And basically, we looking for any development of the brain parts outside of the skull, inside the media. And this is what we are basically looking for and analyzing.
Thank you, Andras. You know, it's interesting, Asmin. Also, I will mention that we have a really wonderfully built science building. We've been renovating. It was built in 1968, but all of the teaching labs have been fully renovated within the last 8 or 10 years. And we have a multi-million-dollar imaging facility in the biology department, housing scanning, transmission, and confocal microscopes. The chemistry department has a full instrumentation analysis lab. They also maintain a 400 megahertz NMR. The physics group has a wind tunnel to study aerodynamics. So there are many things that students get real first hands-on experience using. We also support, at least in the Department of Biological Sciences, all of our students have a research conference that they have the opportunity to go to every semester. We go to one every fall and one every spring. I think this is the first spring in probably about 40 years we haven't attended. because it was canceled because of the conditions. And students present posters or give talks, so you have a lot of opportunities to be involved and to also go to conferences and share your work and really do that sort of thing. So thank you for that question.
Great. Now we do have one more question coming from Kelly. So for the nursing students, what hospitals are you affiliated with? Are any in Manhattan? And if so, how are students placed at these hospitals? Is it based on high grades or do you get to choose?
So the hospital selection there, first of all, there are a number of hospitals that are located in Manhattan, as well as hospitals on Staten Island. And the location of where you do your rotations, again, I'm not in the nursing program, but the way I understand that it is working is that different hospitals are utilized for different types of rotations. So it's not like you're given one hospital and your entire time is spent in your rotations at that one hospital. Certain hospitals with different specialties in pediatrics or emergency medicine, you'll go to maybe a different hospital for the different experiences. And that's really wonderful because not only do you get to spend time in different hospitals and in different specializations, but you get to meet a lot more people and see a lot more perspective in healthcare, which is really fantastic.
And also building off of that, at Wagner, we do have a fieldwork coordinator, Lynn Tyson, who works in the nursing department. You do not have to find the clinical rotations on your own. Wagner does everything for you. So you're going to be assigned where you're going to be going. I know, for example, students will go to both hospitals on Staten Island, so Staten Island University Hospital and Richmond University Medical Centers, along with visiting nursing homes on Staten Island. We're also partners with Maimonides in Brooklyn, and I believe you will be touching on other hospitals in Brooklyn and even Manhattan. So you will be not having anything to worry about. Our nursing department is going to get you into those rotations. And you're going to be doing a total of 10 rotations while in the nursing department, and that does include being involved in the sim lab on campus. So another question we have from Charlie's. I'm going into biology and I want to be a veterinarian. So I was wondering if there are any specific internships or research opportunities that you have.
That's an excellent question. Charlie's, before I actually became a faculty member, I spent almost a decade as a zookeeper at the Staten Island Zoo. So I have a lot of connections, and since becoming a faculty member at Wagner, we have established a long-standing kind of partnership with the Staten Island Zoo where every Wagner student who maintains a good GPA and is interested in veterinary medicine is able to spend up to 3 years at the Staten Island Zoo, rotating in all the sections. Now, the zoo has an internship program that anybody can apply for, but normally you go in, you have 3 months of a semester, and then you go out, and they have to make room for a lot of other students. They don't generally do that with the Wagner students. They will hold on to you and allow you to move from different section of internship to different section of internship to different section of internship. Most students start out in one of two areas. They either start out in what we call the commissary, which is where all of the animal diets are made, the big kitchen for the zoo, or in the domestic children's zoo, the petting zoo. And you'll work certainly in both of those. Learning how to make diets for animals is important. I mean, you have small birds, you don't want to give them big pieces of fruits and vegetables, you want to cut things appropriately and whatnot. So it's an important experience. Working in the children's center, you learn how to work with large animals. You learn how to be around animals that are larger than you are, which for many students who come, especially from our area, who are living in big cities, they don't have a lot of experiences with horses and cattle. So this provides a lot of experience. After that, students are then usually brought into the main zoo where they will get to work in either the African savanna, the tropical rainforest, or in the sections of the reptile wing that do not house any venomous reptiles. You're never allowed to work with any venomous reptiles as an intern. But you can work with everything else under the tutelage of a zookeeper, where you'll gain experience with exotic animals. The last step of the internship that we usually reserve for the seniors in the program is with the head vet and zoo curator, Dr. Sarah Kay, and she then takes you on as her assistant, where you work with her in the animal hospital. You care for the animals that are in the animal hospital under critical care or in quarantine. You work with the vet techs preparing medicines. Sometimes the kitchen there is even a little bit separate. You have to work in there with that. So that's kind of the culmination of the process. Many students who do this internship wind up over their time there becoming particularly interested in a certain species or in a specific type of medical procedure. And they work with Dr. K, and their research experience actually couples with the zoo, and they work with Dr. K on a research project over there.
Great.
It was, and Danny, before we go off, and Charles, we can talk. I did invite another student. Her name is Beatrice DeMarco. She's finishing up her senior year. She is just accepted to the UPenn Veterinary School for a PhD DVM. So that's a very competitive application process. She was very successful in getting in there. And she is taking a molecular cell biology exam right now, so she can't join you. But as soon as she's free, she's going to text me. And if we're still in, we can maybe get her to jump in on the call and give you a little information from there.
All right, Charles, I hope that answered your question in a little bit more specifics regarding the internship opportunities as a biology pre-vet major. So the next question we have is from Anthony. I'm majoring in biology and I plan on going to medical school. How often are people accepted into medical schools?
So medical school acceptance is so dependent on one thing, and that's the MCAT. And our students who follow the recommendations of the pre-health committee, and they do all of the appropriate studying to prepare everything they can for the MCAT, they will go to medical school. But Anthony, this is a long road, hard road. It's a road that Wagner faculty are prepared to work with you on, and you need to be ready to commit fully to your study. I'm going to give you a hint, and this is a hint that is so important for you no matter what school you choose, Anthony. When you study for science, you're going to start studying biology and chemistry as a freshman, and you're not going to even consider doing anything for the MCAT until you are a junior or senior, and that's wrong. You need to buy MCAT material and start practicing MCAT style questions as soon as you start Wagner. So as you're studying general chemistry, you're doing general chemistry MCAT questions. As you're studying organic chemistry, you're going to be doing organic chemistry questions. And those, by doing that while you're studying the material, not only are you then learning the material, but you're also learning how the test works and you're learning how to dissect the questions. The MCAT is not always testing how much you remember. It's asking how much can you figure out based on the information that's given to you. So that's important. Anthony, of the two students we have here, I know Andres is planning on going to medical school, and he's in the midst right now of preparing for his MCAT. Andres, is there anything you'd like to say on MCAT preparations and how you're doing that and how it's going and what that means?
Obviously, it's a lot. It's 7 different books, but it's more likely, as Professor Corbo said, start in time. I started to study like few months ago, maybe in February, and it's actually it's challenging besides the courses, especially what is going on right now. But it's again doable. But like if we just look at the statistics, it's 5% in schools, in like obviously better schools, the acceptance rate, which basically means out of 6,000 students, 300 get accepted. It's a long process, and obviously you need to do the MCAT is the passport, which basically gets you make the university read what you did, what is your GPA, what are your intention, maybe calling you to an interview. So it is a long process, but at the end of the day, we are planning on saving people's life. So obviously you need to study and know your stuff really well.
And one of the things that's very important is that so many people apply to medical school right out of undergraduate, and it's a tough program to fill. It's a tough program to get into. And what Wagner is able to do is, after you graduate, if you don't get in, we have ways of supporting you and have supported many students to going into medical school after that. Helping students get post-baccalaureate training, helping students get into an appropriate master's program. All of these things are ways that people use to shore up their application to go to medical school effectively. It's not a lie that it's competitive. It's not a lie that it's difficult. However, you should know that by working with us, even when you graduate, even when you're not here, we're there to support you. We're there to provide letters. We're there to provide guidance. And very frequently, we help any student who needs that help even when they've left. And that's why we are kind of a special place for an undergraduate degree, as opposed to an institution that is large, where maybe you don't know your faculty as well, and you wouldn't be able to reach out to them in the same fashion.
Very great.
Yeah, just to add to this, I can also confirm that like not only Professor Corbo, but I've been emailing other professors as well if I have a specific question regarding organic chemistry that I might not be able to figure out, or it would take me a day to figure out, and they are all willing to help me, even outside of their time, meaning like during the summer, I'm able to shoot an email to a professor like asking, hey, can you help me with that? I can't figure it out. And this personal touch that Wagner provides for the students, it's really helpful. It's really something something unique.
Thanks, Andres. Danny?
Yeah, great. So another question.
Oh, Danny, muted.
Oh, thank you. So one more question just came through. This is from Yasmin. In the science department, are courses mainly reading intensive or are they more hands-on?
So the course, almost every course at Wagner is designed in the sciences that it has both a lecture and a lab component. Now, the lecture component is, as you would imagine, we go into a classroom, and almost all of our classrooms are smart classrooms. Pretty much every Wagner science professor will work in a smart classroom, and they will have slides or diagrams and projections and things that you'll be able to then do and work on, see, and study. And you will have reading, and you will have a textbook, and you'll have all of that material that you're going to have to, on your own time, read the textbook and come into lecture with any questions you have, ready to absorb what the faculty is telling. In the labs, we lecture very, very little. And in general, you'll have a lab manual, you'll have a procedure ahead of time. Most labs ask you to do a pre-lab where you'll read through everything, write up answering some questions or writing up something in your lab notebook. And then you'll have a 2 or 3 hour period where you go in and you actually complete an experiment. In the lower level labs, those are canned experiments, mostly designed to teach you not only principles of the science, but also basic operations of the different instrumentation we use. Micropipetters, spectrophotometers, centrifuges, balances, all of those basic things. As you go forward and you go higher in the coursework in any of the departments, the experiments start to give you less and less and start to force students to develop their own experimentation. And that happens even as in the 300 level courses, the 400 level courses, and then of course up higher than that as well. So depending on the course, every course has a hands-on component, and you will learn how to use all of the necessary laboratory-based equipment that would be required in that discipline. And we do it sequentially. You learn the more common ones and simple ones first, and then that progresses until maybe you take the electron microscopy course that teaches you how to run the electron microscopes as one of your elective classes. So there's a lot of different opportunities.
All right, Yasmin, I hope that helped answer you about our course load and how the balance between hands-on and coursework. So as of right now, we don't have any more questions. So if you, the 4 participants that are in here right now, if you do have any questions, please type them in the chat, and we'll be looking forward to answering them.
If you have a specific question for one of our students, what it was like in your first semester, in your first year, what it, you can also maybe reach out to them as well through Danny.
So for everyone who just joined, my name is Danny. I work in the admissions office. We have Dr. Corbo here and two of our current Wagner students, and we are answering all of your questions. So any questions you have regarding Wagner or any one of the science-related majors that you're interested in, please ask us, and we'll be ready to answer them for you.
While they're thinking, Max, what was it like? What were some of your things thinking about your first semester, being part of a learning community? Any sort of information you want to share to them about that, the benefits of being in a learning community, how that kind of worked out with your freshman writing being kind of science-based? Is there anything you want to say on that?
Yeah, sure. So, all freshmen in their first semester are placed into the learning community where it's a group of classes. It's usually 2 lecture classes, and then there's a separate seminar focused on writing. At least that's what mine was like. My learning community was a microbiology and chemistry, and that really helped make a lot of friends in related majors that definitely would not really have the opportunity to, especially since I am a commuter student. So, not living on campus, it definitely helped me make more friends, got me more involved as well. Um, Also, you're working with multiple professors very closely early on, so you get to form those connections early on as well, which is always helpful.
Thanks, Max.
Thanks, Max. So another question that just came through. For the lower level science courses, so freshman and sophomore year, what are the average class sizes?
So our the lower level courses, we don't try to have any more than 25 students in a lecture class, and that's probably on the large end. I would say it goes around 20. Laboratory classes, because of the size of our labs, there's 2 labs, the microbiology lab and the general biology lab can hold 20 students. The other labs hold about 15 students. So it would be 15 students to one faculty member in the hands-on lab class where you're.
Great question. So what percentage of the students are enrolled at Wagner and majoring biology? Would you happen to know a rough estimate?
So, as I don't know percentage-wise of the total student body, but our department is one of the larger departments in faculty. So we have 8 full-time professors in biology, and the majors in total, the biology major over the course of the 4 years probably houses somewhere between 40 and 50 students in the 4-year program. And the microbiology major is probably a little bit smaller than that, probably around 25 to 30 students. Um, so the whole department probably has, a little bit under 100 undergraduate majors totally housed. Then, of course, we have probably around 30 biopsychology majors, which are shared with psychology, and we have the graduate program.
All right, Anthony, I hope that answered your question. Now we have a question from Kelly. So I'm going to begin to answer this because I do have some information and then you guys can jump off of it. So she says, what courses will I have to take as a freshman and sophomore to prepare to get into the nursing school as a junior? So Kelly, there are 5 nursing prerequisite courses that you will need to complete in the first 2 years at Wagner. So those courses are Anatomy and Physiology 1 and 2, Microbiology, Human Nutrition, and also either a psychology or sociology class. So out of those 5 courses, you will need to have a B minus in each one of those courses and an overall GPA of 3.2. Now, as long as you have those requirements, you will start the nursing program in junior year. You just need to pass the TEAS exam at the end of sophomore year. Would
I think that covers it. Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else like to add anything? Maybe Max or Andres can talk about your experiences taking anatomy and physiology 1 and 2 or microbiology.
Um, I mean, can you be a little more specific about the experience about taking microbiology?
Sure. In specifics to Dr. Corbo, maybe lab work or
Yeah, what was it? What was it like? What was the pace like? What kind of material did you learn? How did you study?
For me, as an international student who really never, I mean, I'm not sure how it works in the US, but I never worked before microbes, and this whole science as microbiology was new to me. And I will be honest, it was challenging. At the beginning, it was challenging because we had to memorize a lot of stuff, but it was also interesting. And the labs were actually helping us like to memorize what we are learning and to actually put so the information we learn not just to be random words in our heads with definition but actually see what we are doing, see that it actually works and help it connect the material with the exercise. So it was a really good experience. And obviously, as years pass, it's going to be harder and harder, but you're going to learn how to study. And that's one of the most important things that you learn in college.
Great, thank you. And Kelly, also going off of your question about what courses you will need to take to prepare to get into the nursing school, those are just 5 of the nursing prerequisite courses that you'll take. You'll also be taking your liberal arts education classes and your general education classes as well in the first 2 years. And then junior and senior are going to be mainly specific nursing classes.
I'd like to speak a little bit, Danny, to our general education and liberal arts curriculum.
Okay.
We've recently redesigned it, and the faculties of the college as a whole spent a great deal of time working on this new program. And one of the things a lot of people think about is, well, I want to go, maybe even Kelly, you're thinking this, I want to go to nursing school. Why do I have to take a course in art? Or why do I have to take a course in economics? And the reason we did this is we wanted to restructure this to show the value of what you're getting in the liberal arts. And so you're going to focus on 2 things. You're going to take a smattering of liberal arts courses that focus on all the major divisions, arts, humanities, natural sciences, which we all cover in our majors, of course, social sciences, a little bit of professional programs, especially those of us going into nursing. But we also now focus on the key skills area. And all of our courses have assigned to them skills at a level of either intensive instruction or practice and exposure. And what we want you to do is we want you to gain instruction in oral communication and in critical reading and in information literacy. And these are all the different skills that we build on. And you have other courses where you get to practice these and get to perfect or hone them. And this is kind of the skill, the toolkit, or that you're assembling while being in college in an undergraduate setting, in an undergraduate liberal arts setting specifically, that you can now take into your careers in the future. So not only again will you be doing those specific courses, but you'll see why certain studies in other disciplines lend or give you a little bit different skills. So you really leave with a diverse number of skills to really approach challenges in your future career.
And another question. We're going to stick onto the nursing first, and then Yasmin, I'll get to your question next. So Kelly's question just came in. So she is a senior in high school and currently in anatomy and physiology, and she has credits through her college. Now she will graduate with approximately 30 credits, nearly almost in every subject. Do you take these transfer credits for any courses in the sciences or liberal arts? So I can begin off of that since that has to do with more of an admissions question. So we will take all of the college transcripts that you send to us. The grade needs to be a B or better, and then we will do a transfer credit evaluation, and we will see which courses will come over. So more than likely, you will begin Wagner having some courses under your belt, and you will have some units. But there is a cap. I know we won't accept every single course. I believe right now a student could come in with no more than 8 courses at the moment. But yeah, we will evaluate. Sometimes you will need to take the class over again, just because, like I said, if you want to be into the nursing program, we want you to take AMP 1 and 2 here, just to understand how it works into our program. But we will do a transfer credit evaluation for you after receiving those official transcripts.
I can jump in because I also came into Wagner with quite a few college credits myself. Um, I did take some of the classes I had the college credits for again at Wagner, and it's definitely more helpful to take them a second time. It really drives it in, especially when it's related to your major and it's an essential piece of the knowledge that you're going to have to work on. So it's definitely helpful to take it again. But getting the credits will also give you more flexibility for some of your gen eds as well, which is very nice.
It's actually one of the things that's helping you be able to double major back. So
Yeah.
that's
Great. Now, another question related to coursework. Yasmin is a senior in high school, and she wants to know which science-related courses would you recommend her to take in high school to prepare for college science courses?
if you're interested in one of the majors in biology or microbiology or chemistry or physics, we would recommend that you, if you can, and if you're at that level that you would want to do this work, you would take one of the AP courses, AP biology, AP chemistry, AP physics. One of the upper level calculus courses would certainly be valuable for you. If you're more interested in the health focused things, PA and nursing, the anatomy and physiology would be a really good idea. A lot of high schools will offer that. Not that we would be able to count them if they come in as college credit, but it would help get you ready when you now have to take them at Wagner, where maybe it comes out a little bit more detailed or it's a little more fast paced.
Great. Also, Anthony asked, is the AP biology credits through St. John's transferable? So, if any of you have AP courses that you're taking, if you do take the AP exam, we will accept the coursework. We will accept the AP credit if you score a 4 or a 5 on the AP exams. So if you score a 3 on the exam, we won't be able to take the credit. But if you do score a 4 or a 5 on the AP exams, we can take the credit. We just need to do a credit evaluation and match it up and align it with a course that would similar identify at Wagner.
Now, I'm going to speak to that as specifically to our majors in our department. If you do come in and you bring in a AP biology course, it's not counted towards our major. It comes in as biology 130, which is called exploring biology on our campus. Our major in biology starts with biology 213, cells, genes, and evolution. And we do require every student to come in and start with that course. It allows us to make sure we know what students are coming in and we know the foundations in biology that we're building. If you're really good at biology, if you have a really good AP biology class in high school, there will be some things that will hopefully come easier to you, and that will only benefit you because it'll make your transition into college a little bit.
Great. So keep the questions rolling in. Let us know if you have any questions. We are here for you guys. So those are great questions to start off with. You guys have really really in-depth questions that we really enjoyed answering so far. So if you have any more questions, continue to type. And I guess we'll talk a little bit as the questions continue to roll in. We could talk about how everyone is doing at home. So we want to we'll start with Max. So what are some things you're doing to stay busy at home while you are maintaining your course load and still continuing to do your schoolwork?
Yep. So the biggest thing is that you're always on the computer doing all of your coursework. There are ways, some of the classes like virtually are more flexible, so like you can more do them on your time, which I find very helpful. But at the same time, it's also a lot of the classes also have like a video chat meeting, which is helps me at least get the better. But some of the work is flexible, which is very helpful because like I like to go out hiking and running, so it's a little bit like cabin fever with all the inside, but getting out is always essential. Um, but you really just have to like find the time to do it, and it's was a challenge at first, but doing it now, after a couple weeks, it helps you build self discipline and scheduling, which is going to be especially helpful for later years when you're very busy on the campus.
Great. How about you, Andres?
Oh, yeah. This transition again, it's a learning curve because both for students and for professors, because now we have a lot of assignments that they are time consuming, and also the material, it's more likely you have to digest it more. So you basically have to sit down and start over and understand what's going on, which again, it's time consuming. That's the worst part. But while it's time consuming, you don't really realize how fast like the day ends. And basically what I do, I wake up, run a little bit to keep myself sane. Like we are allowed, at least here in Hungary, to go out for 1 hour to do your sports. So I run an hour, then drink a coffee and try to keep up with all the assignments. And basically, when I'm done, then I start the MCAT. So I'm not bored, not at all.
It's great to hear. So we have roughly around 15 minutes left. This session will be on, for 1 hour starting from 1:30. So for the attendees in here, the seniors in high school and the students, feel free to take advantage of those last 15 minutes and let us know if you have any additional questions. I'll also touch on another one of, let's say, an admissions standpoint of things. We have decided to also extend our deposit deadline. So for students interested in Wagner College, the deadline has been extended to June 1st. Usually it was always May 1st as the national date to declare, but all of our students are extended to June 1st, so you will have an extra month to get all of your last minute questions answered and see if you have any additional questions to meet with a counselor or professor. But for the PA program deadline will remain as May 1st. But for all other majors, the deposit deadline has been moved until June 1st.
You know, Danny, I may speak for a moment if we don't have any questions rolling in about
Yes.
one of the things that the things that we've been working on to handle COVID-19. And I think it's important that students, especially prospective students, understand that we're working hard to monitor all the situations and we are keeping current students informed of what's going on, and preparing for summer session and preparing for the fall. Um, Always keeping in mind of how things are changing constantly now because of this new pandemic. And Wagner really was very proactive in preparing for this, starting the committee to analyze everything in early January. And the faculty were abreast that there was something that could be arising. And how would you do your classes if we had to close the campus? So we were able to close the campus within 2 days before spring break. We had our week of spring break, and we came back from spring break completely online, um, with a full support system for all students involved, whether they were commuter or whether they were living in the dorms, how they would get back to the dorms, and even Andras, being able to work with Andras and figuring out, do I go home, back to Hungary? Do I stay? And I think students kind of always, I hope most of our students always felt supported. And I'd like you to know that we worked hard for that and that we are still working hard to keep that going. Before coming to you, I just got out of a meeting with President Joel Martin talking about the different things that we need to think about and start keeping an eye on. So we're working hard when we're working hard so that we can have a super successful fall and that we can get all of this pandemic behind us all soon.
Yep, and also going off that, we're really hopeful and hoping we are able to start the semester in the fall back on campus. But only time will tell, and we will have to be patient to see how this all plans out. So we are very capable of, continuing to host online if we need to. But all of our students have had great positive feedback from our virtual learning. So we do have roughly around 10 minutes left in this chat for today. We are going to be hosting more additional Wagner Wednesdays, so please be on the lookout for emails and text messages from us. I've also included my email in this chat for all of the students who attended today, so if you have any additional questions, you can always reach out to me. But we do have roughly 10 minutes left, so feel free to ask us more questions while this great access is here. All right, another question we have. For the two current students that are here, so Max and Andras, what was your favorite science courses you've taken? So you want to begin with Max, your favorite science course taken at Wagner?
Probably the one that has been most interesting to me personally has been the molecular microbiology course that I'm taking now. But do keep in mind that I have only had 4 science classes at Wagner so far, as this is my freshman year. So I've only had an introductory microbiology, chemistry 1, chemistry 2, and then molecular microbiology. But the molecular microbiology I find to be very interesting, especially in light of what we're doing today. With we're currently finishing up the immunology chapter of that course, and especially with all the COVID-19, it's timely, but at the same time, you don't want it to be timely. Trying to say.
Hmm. Yeah, it's a great question, Yasmin. Andres, do you want to go off of your favorite science course as well?
Um, Again, I really, really enjoy this molecular microbiology, what we're doing right now, because I like obviously microbio, especially the part that is more clinical. And besides microbiology, I really like chemistry, but organic chemistry. And a reason why I really like this molecular microbiology is basically all those chemistry courses, those organic chemistry courses start to pay off. And I think it's really beautiful when basically two sciences, biology and organic chemistry, come together and you finally understand why you learned that at the initially. So basically, these are the courses I like the most so far. But right now, what's coming next, my senior classes, I'm really looking forward for them as well.
That's great feedback from you guys.